what I'll do? I'll do a little thing called Soul Bosser. How's that? Soul Bosser. Anybody got a request for a bit, Hammond? Silent Night, okay, I'm not doing the rotary speaker there, it's not quite the same as the proper Leslie speaker, but it does a good job, doesn't it? It's Yamaha after all. But I want to tell you just for a moment, give myself a little breather, because years and years ago, my mum did not approve of this. But when I was waiting to go to university, I was given the opportunity to go and play with a drummer. And years ago, they used to have working men's clubs and miners' clubs, didn't they? Yes. Well, the working men's club in Cradley Heath, if you ever go to Cradley Heath, it's like going to the middle of Glasgow where you can't understand a word they say. And in that area, which is known as the Black Country, because it's the chain making and all the steel works and the foundries and whatnot. And my dad, bless him, when he was, before he had to go in the army, he was helping a friend of his to do a coal round. And this is an example of the Black Country, because these boys were kicking a ball and the ball was going into the road. So my dad wound the window down, because Albert, his friend, was driving, and he said, "Boys, what are you doing with that ball?" And my dad looked at him, and this kid says, "Oh, he's doing a rough job, eh, mister?" Can you understand me? Yes. He's doing a rough job, isn't he, mister? He's doing a rough job, eh, mister? He said, "If he bangs that bowl against that wall, he'll bust it." And that's how the Black Country, how they used to speak like that, you see. So what am I doing now? I've lost my train of thought now, what I was going to do for you. Oh my goodness, yes, I was going to play, not something from the Black Country. Oh yes, the Hammond, yes, before I go off that. The Hammond organ was on the stage, and I used to play with this drummer. Now there's two little stories here. Because the one day, the drummer said to me, "Jean, I can hear a knocking in that Leslie speaker." I said, "Yes, actually, I can hear it as well." I said, "Well, we can't do anything. We'll have to wait till the interval." So we were playing away, you know, and enjoying the music, and came to the interval. So I said, "Gilbert," who was the chairman, I said, "Gilbert," I said, "there's a problem with the Leslie speaker. Can you have a look at it?" And he said, "Well, what do you want me to do?" I said, "Well, can you just take the back off, as I can just have a look in the top?" So he unscrewed the top of it, and the horns were still. So he said, "Right," he said, "turn it on to slow," so it was going, and there wasn't a sound. He said, "Put it on to tremolo," which was the fast one, which is, and it was going like the clappers, and all of a sudden, as it spun round, this rat shot out. Well, I don't know how long this rat had been in the Leslie speaker, but it must have had a bad headache. So whenever I play the Hammond sound, I always think of that. But this drummer, he was so lovely. He was only about 4'10". He was so small, he had a special drum kit, but brilliant drummer, and he had a lavatory chain on his drum, on his cymbal, so that he could make this rippling noise. But he was ever such a nice man, and he was always smiling. Now his wife, oh dear. His wife, she was like, and she did look so miserable all night. I thought, goodness, what's the matter with Gwenton? I said, is Ronnie, I said, is Gwen all right? "Oh, yes, she's all right, she's fine." And he was laughing away. I thought, oh, crumbs. Anyway, the next Saturday we were there, he comes in again, and he's, goodness me, they must have had another row again. "Gwen's." I said, "Ron, are you all right?" I said, "You're not smiling. You were all over the place last week, smiling away." He said, "Oh no, it's to wear the teeth." Sorry. you so much. Right, now tonight.